The modern corporate use of subliminal messages was born from the teachings of Freud and Carl Jung. Freud was the pioneer, defining the subconscious repression and drives. He thought that the subconscious was mostly made up of information that the person had repressed from consciousness. This information was repressed, he thought, as a primitive defense system to protect the person from damaging or harmful information. This information would then manifest itself in the person's dreams. Some of Freud's most well-known writings are about dream interpretation. Jung expanded on this by teaching that there are these archetypes that are common to all of man from the day they were born. Present throughout all of history, in all cultures, and all religions, they reside in the primitive area of the brain and are thought to be a collective consciousness. These archetypes are like characters. Jung found that these symbols are deeply affecting when a person experiences them in their daily life. They tend to evoke intense emotions and personal connection. Jung researched ancient civilizations, and he found that the ancient systems of hermetics and alchemy examined unconscious symbolism just as Jung's modern discovery. Even the rituals of Babylonians and Egyptians seem to use this to hypnotize the masses.
In the center of the retina is a little dense group of cells called the fovea, and it's a cluster. And this fovea moves in saccades. When you have the perception that you're seeing the whole scene, you're not. You're seeing point to point to point. Now, wherever this fovea hits, you're going to perceive what it's hitting in the eye, the object. It's reflecting at a conscious level. So if you were to put something that aimed at the unconscious, you would plant it off fovea. Now, the early studies of this were done with billboard advertising. It's astonishing. I mean, these billboards, they work this thing out very scientifically. They're quite expensive, quite an expensive media. And then they came up with a machine called the pupillometer, which did the whole thing electronically, and made it very simple for any even relatively small advertising agency to test its ads with this. But it tracks what the eye is actually striking and perceiving at a cognitive or at the unconscious level. The brain is taking in all the information. I think in perception you have to assume it's instantaneous, operating, as they say, at the speed of light. And it takes in everything. It's total. Everything goes into your brain.
Artists use subconscious stimulation because they don't necessarily have to tell you what they're doing. It's fantastic. They can get you to buy a product. They can get you to buy a religion, buy into something. And by using a sexual stimuli in combination with horror, they can infer the blasphemy, if it's Christianity, for example, the horror side, but make you feel good about it because there's sex involved at the same time. And to do it all subconsciously or unconsciously is the key, because when you're looking at something, your eye is picking up every detail of it subconsciously, but you have to focus your fovea on the very pinpoint of the particular painting, picture, or walking down the street. And if you don't do that, you're not going to pick it up. You're not going to remember it consciously. Artists use this because it's extremely powerful. You get the message across without actually telling the person consciously.
These things have profound effects upon the subconscious. And if you can introduce these into an art form, you embed that idea of the art into the brain very, very deeply, and it will persist indefinitely. Otherwise, art is simply a picture, a drawing, a sculpture. It has no meaning at all beyond just simply something you observe.
Subconsciously perceived data comes out in dreams. A Christian might see this as an access point of the soul. Everything beyond conscious perception is a portal that bypasses conscious critical thinking to implant a thought or idea without the viewer accepting the thought. Literally mind control. I wondered though, if everyone uses subliminal technology, wouldn't they cancel each other out? I mean, wouldn't that put brand A and brand B back on equal footing? However, there's much more to this story than choosing brand A over brand B. This is about the the wholesale change of man's behavior on a society-wide, even worldwide scale. According to science, man has a primitive part of the brain that is responsible for drives, survival, fear, and some other primal instincts. This area is called the limbic system. You might call this the animalistic part of the mind. Some people call this the reptilian brain or the lower mind. This part of the being a Christian would call the flesh. The part of the brain being bypassed is the cerebral cortex, which is responsible for logic, philosophy, and cultural belief, to name a few things. Now maybe you're wondering, what does this have to do with sex and skulls? I will tell you the secret. When fear and anxiety are felt, this not only causes the data repression of the ad, but also activates the lower mind. Being in this state of mind, hormones are released in reaction to the stimuli, primal instincts are enacted, and the person loses the ability to reason effectively. It's proven when people are in this state of mind, people will buy more. You will buy to feel secure, even vote a certain way to regain your security. So the faces, skulls, and devils are to put you in a subconscious state of fear. The sex embeds are designed to enact the strongest human drive, the sex drive. Humans act against better judgment when aroused, even subconsciously. The totality of our surroundings being laced with these messages will ensure that many people will constantly be in the lower mind, or the flesh. This means that you will be unlikely to be able to effectively operate in the higher mind. Creativity, logic, morality, philosophy will be diminished. You won't be thinking about your purpose in life, having a positive impact on other lives, or even pondering the truth that our reality has actually been carefully crafted by the power elite. Stifled as a being, living in fear. Fear to be without work, money, fear of standing up, even a fear of reality. They want you in constant fear to repress your knowledge of their control. You can't fight them in your dreams. Notably, Jung found that his symbols have long been present in the occult. Tarot cards are like a who's who of Jung's archetypes. Its first effective use was in Babylon, which is a biblical symbol for evil. Isn't this nothing more than a scientific understanding and breakdown of the occult, then modernized, compartmentalized, and reworded into modern mind control? This new occult, it's like a magic spell. Now it's thought of as a technology, the science of the soul, and they know how to use it. Think about this. People are tapping into this power for money and power. The spell is etching the visions of sex, skulls, devils, and pornography directly on your soul. They have sold their souls for money and power. What they must do in return is exactly what you would expect from their master, the god of this world, Satan. That's what it is always, isn't it? To derive power from hurting the innocent. This trap reduces man to nothing more than an animal, living only by instinctual drives, fears, and lusts. What you must understand walking away from this is, subliminal mind control is the modern occult, and they are waging war on our souls. Tune them out, and you can snap out of this hypnosis.